Good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 25th day of September 2018. Well, as we are in a 9-month, you add 9 to whatever day it is, and you're still going to get the same as the day, I think. Today's a 7-day, and I'm not doing the year in that. And the reason that I'm not including it in the numerology is because I keep it as a separate one. This 2018 is a year of illumination. It's an 11 year. 11s, 22s, 33s. You can reduce them, but we don't typically because they're considered master numbers. And so for this year anyway, I've just been keeping that as separate, as sort of like a foundation of illumination for the year. And then I'm just looking at the month and the day to derive the day's numerology. So today we're a 7. Now, 7 can, mean all kinds of things. It can mean divinity. It can mean magic. It can, just mean all kinds of things. But I feel that it's a number of balance. I think it represents the scales. I think when you look at, I decided this when I was looking at the idea of the 7 rays. Alice Bailey talks about that in, in everything. But what it reminds me of is the 4th ray is the one. You've got the 4th, and you've got the 3, the initial 3, and then you've got the other 3 on the other side. And the initial 3 have to do with the more soul types of energies and influences, and then the other ones tend to do with how we manifest all of that in physical form. Well, and that's really just a ridiculous explanation for it. I'm trying to just condense it all into, and it doesn't do it justice. So, but anyway, it reminded me of the 4, being that point of rest. And so the 7, I've never looked at 7 the same way, since. So I look at the 7 as a place of balance and a place of being able to stand and look at something and find, the balance within it. It's a place of observation. If you like, in witches, witches have a tendency to, and to magic, witches notice things. I drive my husband crazy at all the things that I notice. I notice patterns. I noticed it in a farm store we were in the other day. It has farm stuff, ranch stuff in it, ranch supplies, and I mean it's a little, it has other stuff too, but we went there to get a water barrel for drinking water, and I was looking at the lady that came to get it. We actually had to pick it up outside, and we didn't know that. And so it was just actually up there for display, but she didn't know. She had to give the outside guys the number, right? And so I noticed on the little UPC code that the UPC code was the same as the part number itself, although it had more numbers in it. But I saw that pattern and I couldn't help but say something, and my husband's just rolling his eyes, and the lady's looking at me. I go, I notice patterns. I didn't tell her I was a witch, but I said, I notice patterns. But anyway, I do that. And, but anyway, that's the whole point of the 7, though, where you stand in observation and you try to see the balance to things, or the imbalance to things. So it's kind of a point of observation. So do that today. Just think about it that way. Just think about, instead of reacting to things, just think about looking at them and just observing. Stay in the observation mode of things and see if you can see how things either find their natural balance or don't, because let's face it, a lot of conflict going on in the world. But anyway, if you haven't been here before, I usually talk a little bit and shuffle, and then I'll pull a card. I count 13 because I was born on the 13th, and 13s keep coming up into my life. I view the 13 as the master witch number. So there you go. So let's count 13 for today and see what we have. And of course, my light goes off as I'm doing that. Okay, so we have the Three of Pentacles. I've been drawing a lot of pentacles lately. I don't know why. Maybe because we're concerned with harvest and all of that these days, and about getting the home ready for. Oh, on the other hand, though, collectively, although many of us, I'm sure, are doing that, getting prepared for winter and bringing in what's left of the garden, and we're canning and drying and doing things. But we also are thinking about societally where our uh, how our foundation is being affected in terms of financial, in any kinds of security. So when we see pentacles, we're looking at security. We're looking at our foundation. And looks like my light is out in this. Oh, a little bit. There we go. But here we see three people. One is a craftsman. They're sitting in an archway. It's somewhat ornate. You see a pillar, and you see pentacles up at the top, three of them. You see two crosses. You see, looks like it's sort of a Rosicrucian feel. But he's standing on a bench so that he can, continue to whatever building he's doing, whatever, maybe he's doing some uh, artwork or something on it. He could be chiseling something because this is stonework. So he could be doing something decorative, as opposed to, or maybe shoring up the structure. But threes are triplicity. They're the catalyst for change. So clearly he's changing something, isn't he? But when we look at that, we think structure, we think even progression. We think the threes are about creation and divinity and or mind, body, spirit, we could say. Uh, but this is really about the creative use of our talents, isn't it? For the betterment of all. This isn't just for him. This is for everyone, isn't it? So it's the sense that, when you talk about pentacles, although it is about your own personal foundation, but it's really about how we relate collectively together in this world. But let's draw a rune and see what we come up with. Now the runes, I don't draw the 13th rune. I just let them fall through my fingers in the bag. I make my runes unless I see a nice stone set that I like or something. I don't do any of those. So I've got quite a few of those. I've got a lot of sets of runes. But this one is a hawthorn set that I made. I have some hawthorn trees that we put in. They came from my mother-in-law's home in the valley. And when we moved over here, periodically we would go raid someone's property, some parent's property for something they had, that they had coming up that they didn't want. Hawthorn has a tendency to be prolific. Once you have it in spades. They're everywhere. They come up everywhere. It's amazing. It's just amazing. And they're a great tree. The leaves and the flowers are edible for tea. It's sort of I view it as an adaptogenic herb. The berry is. I use it as a cardio tincture, basically to balance out the cardiovascular system. So if you're somebody that, as you get older, maybe your circulation isn't as good. Maybe you start having cold hands and feet or whatever. So a little hawthorn tincture, a few drops of that in some tea every day is a nice, gentle way of trying to balance that whole process out. So if just to smooth things out for you. So we do that. I make hawthorn tincture. My husband just brought me another bowl. He found some more out there. We've got some trees up the driveway that I guess he actually dug them up and put them up the driveway. And until we put the 8-foot game fence up, we've got 5 acres and it's all fenced in now with between 7 and 8 foot high fences. So the deer don't come in anymore because they would just eat those things down to nothing. And so they've been in the ground a long time, but they're just now putting on berries and they're huge. Oh, they're so much bigger than the ones I got 2 big trees down here by the house. And these things are so much nicer than the ones I have down here. So anyhow, I'll be making some tincture here as soon as those dry a bit. So let's draw a rune. I keep waiting for one to sit, and then all of a sudden they all just sort of fall through at the same time. I'm still waiting for one to finally sit in my hand. There we go. Oh, Isa, the Norn rune. Now, Isa is the 11th rune of the Elder Futhark, making it that's a master number for illumination. Isa is one of the three, they're considered the Norn runes. Hagalaz is one, Nathis is another, and Isa is the third. Isa is the rune of the present moment. It's a water element rune. It represents freezing things into place. If you have a situation that's going out of control, you can chant Isa to at least bring yourself into control within it if you can't bring the rest of it into control. Sometimes the lack of control in a situation has to do with how we perceive it and how we're responding to it. So everyone else might be fine, but we're losing our mind, right? Well, while everyone else might think, oh, what's wrong with you? Why are you so upset? Well, chanting Isa can bring a sense of peace and calm and balance to the situation that you're experiencing, whether anyone else is experiencing that or not. But basically, the notion of living in the present moment. In this present moment, what we're doing here is we're making things better for others, not just self. We take in the notion that we aren't alone in the world, that we are here doing the same thing as everyone else is doing, just trying to figure out this life and figure out who we are and who we are within it. As we are beginning to awaken to the notion that we're more than simply these bodies, we're beginning to understand that we're part of the greater unified presence of source energy. In my view, it is all that we see is all that is, expressing itself into form. And as such, then, we are aspects of that creator, of that creative presence, of that mother principle. I am esoteric enough and have immersed myself in esoteric readings enough that I believe the notion of us living within the Great Mother's breath. I don't view the creator as a male principle. I view it more as a feminine principle. I doubt that that really is what it is. I'm sure that the creator is all of everything. But when we come here, we start to define it in terms of polarity, don't we? But the truth of that polarity is that the real polarity is only spirit versus how we manifest it into form. So spirit versus ego, there's your true polarity. If we're looking at it in terms of the type of polarity we typically think of, and that's masculine and feminine polarity, that's really only here. All of that is a non-issue in spirit. So we understand who we are when we're in spirit. We forget that when we're here in form. Part of that was by design so that we could, essentially figure it all out and have this friction within all of that to do that. Nathis, one of the other Norn runes, is about inner friction. Hagalaz is about creating change within a fixed structure. So that's why it's called the witch rune, because that's essentially what we do. When we cast spells, we do things we try to create change within a fixed structure, within a set of boundaries that, okay, within the notion of free will for all, I'm going to offer this opportunity for some balance to come back. People are always free to take it or leave it. But that's really what magic is. It's casting that intention without interfering with free will. Anything else is really something else. So anyway, and it's not that you can't do that, that's just how I define it. That's all. I'm not saying that you have to do one or the other. A witch can do what a witch can do. So whatever the needs of the situation dictate. So, but what I love about Isa is the notion of living in the present moment. At one point, I was a student of the Course in Miracles, and basically that's what that channel text is talking about. When we step outside, they call it the holy instant. When we step outside the holy instant, when we step outside the present moment, then we move into past, which brings in judgment. Future is something we don't know. All there is the present moment. It's all we have at any given moment. Anything else, you can put anything into it you wish. You can stand in reaction to things. You can stand in observation to things. You can stand in creation of things. But make no mistake about it, you're going to make a decision one way or another about what you're going to do in that present moment. Will your mind stay focused on that moment and creating in that moment? Or will you bring in the past as judgment? With the Three of Pentacles, we're wanting to align mind, body, and spirit so that we can see beyond just the self, and so we can see that greater presence of all, basically. This man is doing what he needs to do. It's his craft. He's doing what he loves. And these people are standing in appreciation of it because he's making their lives better. So we see that integration, don't we? It's hard to do that in form, though, isn't it? We have a hard time being grateful. We have a hard time extending, goodwill to others, especially these days. But if we employ Isa in our lives and we live in the present moment, it becomes a little bit easier to do that. We forget about past hurts because they're over. We let things go because they're over. It's like you have to ask yourself when you get yourself all upset about something, is it happening in the present moment, or is your thought process bringing that into play? See? So maybe the goal today then is to think about that integration and learn and to think about how we extend goodwill to others, whether it's an appreciation for what others are doing for us, or to generate that within that then wants to go out and do that for others, like the man who's the craftsman here, who's doing all the wonderful work for other people. So something to think about. I'd love you to check out my blog, Stepping Aside, at imsteppingaside.com. Lots of tarot readings, lots of rune castings, other rants and raves that I do, some stuff about herbs, some stuff about Reiki, some stuff about being an empath, cannabis growing. Sometimes I'll talk about being a cannabis patient and what I did to heal. My first book was about that, called Confessions of a Back Porch Herbalist, available on Kindle, free to read on Kindle Unlimited. I've written some other books as well, having more to do with witchcraft. One's a novel. I'm working on a couple more right now, a novel and another book having to do with herbs. So we'll see when those come out. I'm not sure, but check it out if you like. I write the whole thing, so not filled with ads. I'm not into that. So, but there is a little Amazon storefront called A Witch in Store. Amazon, if you publish on their platform, if you self-publish, they tell you that you can become what's called an Amazon affiliate. And so basically what you're doing is you're creating a storefront with stuff you like, and people are basically buying from Amazon, but you get a few advertising pennies from it. But over the course of the year, it might add up to, $50 or something. But the more people that go and look at it, then, I get advertising little bits for it. So anyhow, that's the only way I've monetized my blog. I'm just not into all those ads. I know for some folks that's what they do, and that's fine, but I don't know. I just didn't want to do that. It's just about stuff I want to share with people. So, and then when I did the whole writing thing, and became an author, that's when, that happened. And I thought, well, this is fun. It's not too intrusive. You're not going to sit and look at a whole bunch of ads everywhere. So if it helps out the blog, it helps out the blog. That's cool. So anyhow, go check it out at imsteppingaside.com. Hit subscribe if you like, and come back. I do this Monday through Thursday, and I take 3 days off to sort of decompress and spend some time with my husband. So anyway, have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by. Come back again. I'm Jan Erickson with Stepping Aside. This has been Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune, and blessed be.